Said it's a bit like, and Theresa May perhaps coming out any moment now. Steve Richards saying it's a bit like a bull in a china shop, doing what bulls do in a china shop, and then saying, who broke all this?
Yeah,
someone should tidy it up.
But well, yeah, this is an attempt to tidy
May
it
and
up.
Philip coming back out. Just explain the personalities, Alistair Bruce.
Yes, the Queen's Equerry. Wing Commander Sam Fletcher, on behalf of the Queen, saying goodbye to the Prime Minister and her husband. The footman just letting the car now leave. It'll come straight back, followed by the backup car and back to number 10 Downing Street. So the constitutional process of restarting as Prime Minister with a new government, which presumably the Queen may well now have approved in terms of each individual minister, and the business starts. Buckingham Palace slips back into the background, and I'm sure the Queen will hope to go away and not have to worry about this coming back at her too quickly.
Okay, just want to cut Steve Richards off there. We're going to follow the car down the Mall, that short distance to Downing Street, where we are expecting a statement from the Prime Minister very soon. Steve, you were saying?
Yeah, no, she's got every right to do this because she's the leader of the bigger party, and the incumbent has the right to have the first go at forming a government. But that is the ritual and the rules. The politics of this are quite extraordinary. You know, when a Prime Minister loses a majority wholly needlessly by calling an early election, he or she never recovers from that. Ted Heath tried to stay on in February 1974 when he called an early election. He was out by the Monday afternoon. Now, that's not going to happen in this case, but I think she is very, very fragile. Okay. As a result of this, inevitably.
And Eve, you think she's okay for the time being? I'm going to go back to Downing Street in a moment or two. Our political editor is there, as we understand Theresa May is going to make a statement as soon as she gets there. But your quick thoughts on that it's going to be another Conservative. Boris?
Boris or someone, who knows? But yes, there will be, but not for a while. They'll want this to settle down. And they want her very much, you feel, to change the way that she governs. I mean, the idea that she has this small clique around her, she's going to have to include the cabinet. She's going to have to behave like Theresa May has never done before, which is going to be very hard.
And get to know the DUP quite well as well. Stay with us, both of you, but I'm going to take us to Downing Street to get us on the ground, so to speak, as we watch from the air, because Faisal Islam, our political editor, is there. So, well, it's all done and dusted for the time being in Buckingham Palace anyway. Faisal, next we understand we're going to hear fairly shortly from the Prime Minister.
We will indeed hear from the Prime Minister on the formation of a minority government. That is, as Alistair Bruce and your other people there in the studio have been saying, that is constitutionally appropriate for the incumbent and somebody who feels that they have a good shot of passing the gate has opened, I should just say. I'll let you know when the car comes in. But somebody who feels that they have a good shot of passing a confidence motion on a Queen's speech, they are allowed to do that. Now, what is in that Queen's speech? Been having a look like most people at the DUP manifesto. They said that they were going to keep the pensions triple lock, corporation tax in Northern Ireland down to 12.5%, all this sort of stuff. So the question really is this, which is what's going to be in that Queen's speech, and will the Conservative coalition hold on this? There are certainly some Conservatives who will be deeply uncomfortable about doing deals with the DUP. Do they value the prospect of ministerial office more? That is the question. Here comes the Prime Minister. I'm just going to duck out of the camera view and you will see the Prime Minister come in. She will go straight to the podium to give the most extraordinary statement to the nation. She's been doing quite a lot of these, given the atrocities we have seen.
Waiting for Theresa May, and there she is with her husband Philip. Little smile playing across their lips there, presumably a satisfactory conversation with Her Majesty the Queen about her ambition of forming a minority government alongside the DUP. Will she tell us how it will work? Here is the Prime Minister.
I have just been to see Her Majesty the Queen. and I will now form a government that can provide certainty and lead Britain forward at this critical time for our country. This government will guide the country through the crucial Brexit talks that begin in just 10 days and deliver on the will of the British people by taking the United Kingdom out of the European Union. It will work to keep our nation safe and secure by delivering the change that I set out following the appalling attacks in Manchester and London, cracking down on the ideology of Islamist extremism and all those who support it, and giving the police and the authorities the powers they need to keep our country safe. The government I lead will put fairness and opportunity at the heart of everything we do, so that we will fulfil the promise of Brexit together and, over the next 5 years, build a country in which no one and no community is left behind. A country in which prosperity and opportunity are shared right across this United Kingdom. What the country needs more than ever is certainty. And having secured the largest number of votes and the greatest number of seats in the general election, it is clear that only the Conservative and Unionist Party has the legitimacy and ability to provide that certainty by commanding a majority in the House of Commons. As we do, we will continue to work with our friends and allies in the Democratic Unionist Party in particular. Our two parties have enjoyed a strong relationship over many years, and this gives me the confidence to believe that we will be able to work together in the interests of the whole United Kingdom. This will allow us to come together as a country and channel our energies towards a successful Brexit deal that works for everyone in this country, securing a new partnership with the EU which guarantees our long-term prosperity. That's what people voted for last June. That's what we will deliver. Now let's get to work.
Well, there we are. Theresa May, I mean, it must be said, making a speech there that she had prepared for if she'd won a majority. It's almost something we heard on the campaign trail, as if nothing has changed. She talked about guiding the country through the crucial Brexit talks, a government of fairness and opportunity. But of course, she is now in a minority. Her party is in a minority in the House of Commons. It will have to be supported, as she pointed out there, by the Democratic Unionist Party. Let's get our political editor's feelings and thoughts on that speech. Faisal.
Difficult to see how that wasn't exactly the same drafted speech as she would have given had she won the majority that she was seeking. It didn't seem to be in any way different, apart from that reference to her friends and allies in the DUP.